Hello, friends. Thanks for joining us. I don't know why I'm yelling. Do us a favor. Smash that subscribe button. Leave a like. Leave a comment. I'll stop yelling. Join on the talk. Benny, where can they find us on social media?
Yeah, you can find us, Ray Benny Sports. We're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok.
Let's get into it. Let's start off with some Winnipeg Blue Bombers and CFL talk. The Bombers.
The Bombers.
It's going really well right now. I'm yelling. Join on the talk. Let's slow it down a bit. Take a breath. Have a little.
Take that sip.
Bombers sign kicker Chandler Stanton. Initial thoughts on that?
Starter, right? No, okay. Maybe not. It's a good signing. He had a pretty good career up in college in the States there. Finished off his last season at 95%. So good guy to bring in and give some competition to Mark Scheifele and see what he can do. Seems like a very good player. He had a trial with the Packers last year, undrafted. So didn't end up making it, but seems like a good deal to bring in and compete.
I'm having a good time watching Justin Pilardi kick online. This guy posts once in a while. He's at the field, staying in shape. But you know, if it's Pilardi, it's Pilardi. But bring in someone experienced. It's great that they're bringing this kid in. He had one good season. Like his first season, he was 80% on maybe like a dozen kicks, and then he went 60%, some 60+%, not 60 like 5 or whatever, 68 around there. And then he had a huge year last year, missing only a couple kicks and hitting all his converts. So, yeah, why not bring an unknown in? But I really would love to see an experienced kicker. Sorry, I'm just, the past two Grey Caps, Castillo, Medlock, like.
Yeah, and sometimes these kickers, though, they got to start somewhere, and this seems like a pretty big option or good option to bring in and see what he can do. He did leave that school as the career point leader and stuff like that, so I'd like to see what he can do. I do agree, probably bring in another vet to compete. I don't know if you actually have ever a 3-person competition for kickers ever, or more than 2. But was Pilardi was a punter though, wasn't he, or was he also field goals?
He's a place kicker.
Oh, was he?
Yeah.
How old is he now? Anyways, though,
he's a kicker. We've seen Troy and Bob and Trevor all play well into their 30s and Bob late 40s. But yeah, I'd like to see an experienced kicker. Yeah, it'd be good to give a young guy a shot. But again, we have an unproven when it comes to a big game on the big stage, and that's where it really hurt. I'm cheering for Eliiot, to be honest with you. It's great that they're bringing this kid in to give him competition, but I do want Eliiot to succeed. I do want him to overcome this pressure of having it. But I don't want to have another new kicker and then find out that in crunch time they can't do it because they've never been there. I don't know.
Yeah, Eliiot took a step last year, right? He got better than the year before when he was floundering and Mortada came in and stuff like that. And then they had to go get Castillo too, right? So yeah, he got better last year. And I think you can almost see early, probably in the season, once it starts, if he's going to make those pressure kicks. And then you can kind of make a decision. It sucks to make a decision in week 2, 3, 10 kind of thing that, hey, he's not going to be able to do it. And you have to find a guy. Maybe you got to go find a veteran guy. But I feel like you can't give up on him too quickly. We gave up on Liam Hiralahu.
Yeah. We said at the same time. Jinx. Let me drink Ryan Coke.
And because I remember being at an Eskimos game, or an Elks, I guess, past Eskimos back then, game at home, watching him miss like 5 field goal attempts, and them lose that game. So, and then he left and then he got better. So I feel like that could happen with Eliiot. I'm not ready to quit on him just yet unless they bring in a veteran guy.
Yeah, after I got up my Grey Cup frustrations the day after, it's good that we had a podcast right after. I just let it out, and I'm just ready to chill, go back to let's give him some time to grow. Because I think he's still the best option unless they bring in someone experienced.
Yeah.
Let's look quickly. Last week we had the question online about the Bomber fantasy. Who would you choose to be your starters? We had quarterback, receiver, and running back. And just as an update online, our online fans picked up Zach Collaros as quarterback. James Murphy will be joining Milt Stegall, and Charles Roberts takes the running back position. Couldn't really go wrong.
No, did you put Matt Dunnigan on those polls?
No, they only allow us 4.
A lot of people want Matt Dunnigan, and I actually don't blame them. But like you've said in the past, and we've said, he ended up missing, unfortunately, one of the most important games in Bomber history when it came down to it. So,
yeah, he has. Go ahead.
Had he won a Grey Cup here in Winnipeg, I think it would have been different. He was obviously a very good quarterback. There's no questioning that. I mean, he set the passing yards for in one game record and all that stuff. But
we had four options.
Yeah,
we had the most yards ever. The second closest to that, we had the greatest bomber of all time, according to many, and we have the bomber currently who's won 2 Grey Cups, or who had won 2 Grey Cups in a row. So, sorry, Matt Dunnigan fans, but he didn't quite make the cut this time around. Whoops, Coach Mike Kelly.
Yeah, Mike Kelly wants Matt Dunnigan.
That's okay. We'll figure it out internally. Let's go to another all-time question. Bomber all-time defensive line. All-time. This was a hard one. There's so many good ones.
Yeah.
I'm going to just say what 4 I picked, and then we'll just talk if we do have any differences, and we'll double up on some ones we have the same. I got Doug Brown and Michael Gray on the inside, and I have Willie Jefferson and Alfred Payton on the outside.
Yeah, that's good. I didn't really pick outside inside. I just went with the 4 best kind of here. And I agree with you on Jefferson and Doug Brown. Those to me are no brainers. Alfred Payton as well, I'm going with. I was trying to find other guys that had that kind of seasons that he had. I know he wasn't in Winnipeg for a long time, but he did lead the team in one season with 22 sacks.
That's crazy. That's cool. Yeah, 22.
Yeah, in one season,
Swack.
Yeah, I had a hard time picking the other guy. Like there's so many other guys. You got, and I didn't even think about Michael Gray even. I'll admit that. I got Jackson Jeffcoat. I got, Gavin Walls.
He's awesome.
Jamal Westerman, and then when I was looking this up, I found out this Tony Norman guy back in 88 to 86.
He was dominant, man.
And I'm like, I don't even know who to pick here. And then you even had Tom Canada, who, for his few seasons here, was an amazing guy, and he was around when the team wasn't very good, and he was still shining bright. They made the Grey Cup in 2007, but it wasn't the greatest years before that. And I'm going to go with the latest, and I'm going to go with Jeffcoat just because he's been around for a long time, or not a long time, but he's been around for the last few seasons, had some success in this Bomber team. So I'm going to go with Jeffcoat.
If you want to go really far back too, there's Herb Gray, who played offense and defensive line. And he's like the first defensive lineman to win. Remember the Shenley Awards?
Oh, yeah.
Those were so awesome on the 80s, watching the Shenley Awards, watching Willard Reeves and James Murphy and Chris Walby carry them Shenley. Any which way, he was the first defensive lineman to win the Lineman of the Year Shenley Award. So Herb Gray could have easily been in there. Obviously, never got to see him play. But yeah, I went with Michael Gray because he was here for a good 7-8 years. He has that monumental, immaculate interception play in the 1988 Grey Cup in Ottawa, that legendary game where Bob Cameron won Canadian of the game
against Matt Dunnigan.
There we go. And he could play both inside and outside. He had like double-digit sacks his first 3 years in Winnipeg. And it was just a disturbing force on those dominant defenses. So I had to go with Michael Gray. Also, shout out to Stan Mikowas, another good defensive lineman I watched growing up.
Yeah, there was a lot to choose from. It's a tough position because you think, okay, you got the last few seasons of Jefferson and Jeffcoat just wrecking havoc, and then Richardson on there too, kind of thing. Casey Sales, but it's just been dominant. Some of these guys, like Alfred Payton, Tom Canada, even as Tony Norman. When I was looking it up, they only started keeping track of sacks in 81, so a year after he'd started. And he ended up in 6 seasons with 59 sacks total, which is, I think, is second behind Tyrone Jones on the team. So
that's crazy.
And that was the 86. They won the Grey Cup in that span, and that's when they got better and they were a dominant team.
Absolutely. That defense was crazy.
Oh, yeah.
And of course, Doug Brown. Doug Brown was like the automatic for me. Willie Jefferson was almost automatic. He's so dominant, such a game changer, nonstop motor. He can change the face of a game at any moment. But Doug Brown was the number one for me. It helps that he's Canadian, but he is in the early 2000s defenses, and he also was in that dominant Swaggerville defense, and he was the rock that they built that defense around. So Doug Brown was a no-brainer for me.
Yeah, he is for sure a no-brainer as well on my thing, and I feel like Willie Jefferson as well on mine. But yeah, Doug Brown, there's the longevity of it all, right? He was here for a long time. He was consistent throughout that whole time. A lot of guys taper off by the end of it, right? But Doug Brown was still going strong by the end. He's in the Hall of Fame. You can't go wrong with Doug Brown at all.
Absolutely. And I loved watching Alfred Playton play when I was a young guy. He was just he was fun, he was brash, and he was mean when he was on that field. Chris Walby said he was like one of the toughest opponents he's faced.
Yeah, that's right.
In fact, when he got hurt, I think it was when he was facing Alfred Payton on a slippery turf when his knee was already hurt. So if Chris Walby says he's one of the best that he's faced, I might as well put him on my defensive line.
Oh yeah, and then he came back and tormented the Bombers after when he was with the Stallions and all that.
That was the worst. That was the worst. So good.
Oh, he was good.
Let's talk about some CFL. Let's go into CFL talk. There's some great conversation online about the idea of having a fan board in the CFL that the league can consult with. I think it's a damn good idea. It should have been happening a long time ago, especially when you have 3 teams that are community-based, community-owned. Why wouldn't you listen to them? They're the most passionate fans in the league, the most profitable teams in the league. So with that in mind, if you were on this board, what would be the first idea you'd bring to grow the game?
You got to figure out a way to bring teens back into this game and have those kids grow into CFL fans. Because right now the NFL takes that cake, and if you go to schools or whatever, what are they talking about most? Right, is NFL, because that's what's out there. But if you can continue, and I know they do it a lot here in Winnipeg with the Oliveira visiting schools, because he was at my son's school not that long ago. Nick Dembski was as well, kind of thing, and signing autographs, talking to the kids, bringing them out. So my goal or my idea would be bringing these kids. How you do it, I don't know. You got to start offering. I know they offer discount on tickets, but maybe you got to offer free tickets here and there to some games with a purchase of an adult ticket or something like that. Because I know at the same time you don't want to be losing money, and it is a ticket-based league right now, right?
Absolutely.
So figure out a way. I know the upper decks for the Bombers, a lot of the times they're not sold out, right? Upper corners even. So offer maybe those tickets and buy one, get one free kind of thing. Bring those kids in.
That's a big issue that they've had over the years of getting a younger audience because they are so dependent on the attendance and ticket revenue. And in addition to that, then my idea would be to really, through the years when we were growing up with the Grey Cup and the CFL, it always felt like the CFL was part of the Canadian fabric. It was Canadiana. It was important to what it is to be Canadian, and it's part of that. It's a great Canadian drunk. Everyone would watch on that day, whether you follow the league or not. And it seems to have lost that over the years. And I think you really got to invest in that, and you really got to bring in new Canadians. Really concentrate on these great immigrant populations that you have, especially in cities like Toronto and Vancouver, where you have all those empty seats. Fill them up. Give them the experience. Go into their neighborhoods. Go into their organizations. Teach them the game and the importance and the history of the game, because it is important to Canadian history, the CFL, and it's been lost over the years, unfortunately.
Yeah, for sure. There's so many things they can do out there that to start bringing, new people into this game. And like you say, a lot of people that come to Canada, this is their time, an opportunity to try to grab their attention, and bring them to this sport and see, hey, this is what we have to offer, and you got maybe half of them might catch on and enjoy it. The other half might go, whatever, it's terrible. But
it's a long-term project. It can't be, you build it up one time and the next year, if you don't see it right away, well, it's a long-term thing.
Yeah.
Let the generations grow, let the fans grow. You do have empty seats to fill, so might as well bring them in, let them see the game, expose them to game day activities, catered towards them, let them have a good time and see what happens.
Yeah, there was another thing on Twitter the other day about I can't remember what stadium it was now, but having like a $5 menu or something for drinks and hot dogs and hamburgers and stuff like that. And you almost have to do that too, and it's not necessarily about
it's got to be affordable.
Yeah, the beers, whatever, because obviously if you got cheap beers, people get out of hand, right? But food wise, you know what? Bring in lower prices and have them throughout the game. More people will end up going there and enjoying a meal or whatever, or having a burger. But sometimes the price of everything combined, it just pushes too many families away.
Yeah. Well, then maybe they got to find a better contract to get some money in the owner's pocket so they can lower the food values, and also not so dependent on that. What is a popular, unpopular view you have on the CFL?
I don't know where this ranks or where it is, but I feel like the CFL with 9 teams should go to 16 games, have a home and away game for every team. No more unbalanced schedule. No more, hey, you only play this team once this season kind of thing. I would love it. And once you get to that 10th team, if it ever happens, then go to 18. I don't like that some teams play this team 3 times, and last season it was 4 times. That should never happen. Yeah. So I'd like to see them change that schedule for now until that 10th team gets brought in.
Ooh. Yeah, I don't know. I love 18 games.
I love it too, but I don't like sometimes teams are crap, right? They're going to have a crappy season and you get to play that team 3 times. You get a benefit out of that, right? Whereas someone else doesn't get to play that team 3 times. So,
yeah, that's true. My unpopular view would be that probably I love the Rouge. I really do. In almost every situation, I like it, and I hope they never get rid of it, and I hope they never tweak it. I am willing to take the once in a blue moon. Remember when they had that penalty last year where the guy didn't even get to return the ball out of the end zone? I really hated that moment, but I'm willing to take that once in a blue moon for all the rest of the Rouge fun. They can win a game by missing a field goal. So what? Play defense then. Don't let them get close where they can kick the ball out of the end zone. It's a 20-yard end zone.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, come on. I love the Rouge. So
yeah, it's not an NFL end zone where it's small and chances of it going out are pretty good, right? You got a chance to return it, or because the craziness of the CFL, you can punt it back out, right?
Absolutely. So, it's not like you can line up for a field goal from 40 yards and just drill it all the way through. No, you got to put some air on it, or else someone's going to block it on the line. So that means it's probably returnable. So I love it. I love the Rouge. All y'all haters on the Rouge. Oh well, too bad.
And it's just like people say, okay, it was one of the Bomber games last year, right? Where it's saying punt it through the end zone, the Montreal game, right? Punt it through.
Yeah.
Right. But it's also then a 60-yard punt if you're punting it from the 40 or whatever, because the end zone, you got to get it out. Yeah. So it's not so easy that everyone's thinking. Yeah. No one.
There you go. Love that Rouge. I'm going to get that on the shirt. I love the Rouge.
Do it.
Let's go. Oh, okay. We'll get them made. Watch that. Ray and Betty fans, put that. Watch it. Well, you know what? We will. It's going to be on Etsy very soon.
Yeah.
Let's move on to some Winnipeg Jets talk. Don't forget to smash that subscribe button. It really helps us out, helps the show grow. A crazy growth last week. So thank you all for subscribing. Thanks for being with us. Winnipeg Jets. Let's go to our favorite game. The Winnipeg Jets, the week that was
what I expected.
Oh, yeah.
It was an easy schedule, but it was a tough slog to get through that schedule and win those games, especially against Arizona and Anaheim.
Yeah.
So
the week that was for me was meh, which is kind of the same sentiment you had. They won the games that we thought they'd win. If we go back to last week, they ran into a Kings team that I think they have a franchise record now of 12 or 13 games in a row where they've gotten a point. They've not really taken any steps forward to create any kind of playoff momentum that inspires fans to believe that anything can happen in the playoffs. I get it. The playoffs are a new season, but when you look at the team, it's like, okay, this could be a real quick first round for them. So it was meh for me.
Yeah. It's so uninspired hockey, and it's like horrible. You got away with wins against Arizona and Anaheim. I know Arizona was playing better lately, right?
But still.
Then it comes up to that Kings game, and then you're playing a better team, and it just glaring how bad they've been playing. Mm-hmm. Once the Kings score, what was it, a minute and a half in?
And so there they are.
And then the only way you score is because you get a 5-minute power play.
And it's tough. Like, we love the Jets. We love to be boosters when they're doing well. We're all over it. We jump on that bandwagon when Benny jumps on the bandwagon.
Yeah, thanks.
Fall off though. But just say, but we love the Jets. So we don't mean to sound negative all the time, but it's really tough just watching them play right now. It's very uninspired hockey. And a lot of that uninspired hockey is when you look at guys like Mark Scheifele. Like, where has Mark Scheifele gone? Some interesting statistics here. I'm not a big stats guy, but No shots in 3 of the last 6 games since that benching. 3 of the last 8 games altogether. Hasn't scored in the last 8 games since before the benching. The other team in those 8 games have scored 7 out of those 8 games. Scheifele's bid line has been on the ice for all 7 of those. This is a combination of stats I've heard from TSN and from Mike McIntyre, but those are amazing stats and very disappointing stats and mind-boggling stats for a player like Scheifele, who leads the team in goals.
Yeah, I mean, how often were we praising him earlier this season, bouncing back after that press conference last year and all this stuff, and you're thinking, hey, turn the corner. He's grown up, his leadership. Like at one point, you were debating probably Scheifele or Morrissey for captain, right, kind of thing, and then Morrissey kind of pulled away with it. But I don't get it. It's mind-boggling because you're thinking, okay, maybe the goals aren't there, but where are the shots? Like when the shots aren't there. It's like, it's telling, like, is he injured or is he pouting still from the benching?
Maybe.
Like, is it that bad that you're going to pout and throw the whole season away? Your season, because he was having a wicked season, right? Yeah. He still is having a wicked season, point-wise, goal-wise. And it's like, I don't get what has happened.
Yeah.
You know? And it's amazing to me just with bonus. Like, you continue to go back to this guy. Yeah, he plays a lot of minutes and stuff. But yet you go and shove Ehlers on the bench.
Ever since that press conference last year, people are questioning his commitment and motivation to this team. And it's come up again. When like the media is asking Bonus about Scheifele, right away he comes out, but you just got to fight through it. So he's saying that this guy is not fighting through it. And again, Bonus is talking about motivation and commitment. This is ridiculous 70-something games into the season with a player of this caliber, losing all motivation because you get benched and now you don't want to talk to the media. Now you don't want to play hard, maybe. I don't know. It's very disappointing.
Well, they went,
he's sulking.
They went through 2 voices last year, right? They had Pomo, and he said, yeah, they need a new voice. Dave Lowry comes in, and it's another voice. And yeah, he ended up sticking to a lot of the same stuff Pomo did. Yeah. But there was another voice in there, and it didn't seem like it got through. And then it seemed like Bonus did get through, right, to Scheifele. And he was all excited. He was pumped. And then he's in his slump again, and it's hard for him to get out of it. And I think the Jets, obviously, their chances would increase, and you'd get a little bit more excitement for the playoffs as Scheifele bought in. It's not necessarily about scoring goals at this point, but it's about seeing his effort, being on the ice for stopping even a goal. Setting up, and it all stems to the power play too, right? With him pouting or not playing as very well on that, it's the power play one is suffering, and it shows. It's only scored 1 goal against the Kings on a 5-minute power play, and how many tries in the last 6-7 games? Yeah. So,
and again, we're rooting for him. We want to see Scheifele because when Scheifele does well, this team is pretty good, as we saw in the first third quarter of the season. So we want to see him get back on track, but it's just hard to figure out why. It's hard to figure out why. And if it's because of the benching, that's really disappointing. And at the same time, not surprising.
But he still gets the benefit of the doubt, and he's still getting the top ice time and all that stuff too from Bonus. Whereas the guy like Ehlers, who's actually had the most points over the last month on the team with goals and everything like that, and tonight he's on the third line with Lowry and Appleton. It's like he just keeps getting pushed down. But where the other guys end up getting more and more minutes, Scheifele and Wheeler haven't scored in a long time either. Like Wheeler hasn't scored in a long time.
With that said, then, if you're Ehlers, would you rather be on line with Scheifele and Wheeler, or would you rather be on line with Lowry and Appleton, who are doing pretty good these past couple games?
You know, and it's interesting to see if he'll end up getting more ice time. I would have liked to see Ehlers with Connor and Dubois because they had success last year at some point, you know. Not shoved down to the third line, but Ehlers got a lot of speed, right? Yep. Lowry and Appleton are not going to keep up with that. So when Ehlers enters that zone, are those guys going to be with him, or is he going to have to stop up and wait? And I'm not saying
they're not slouches in skating. No, I mean, but they are big guys who take up space, who might actually give Ehlers space to move around with the puck.
Maybe we'll see when they're in the zone. And I'm not absolving Ehlers of being perfect at all, because he's struggled too. And there's games where he is like, you're watching him going, wow, okay, what's he doing right now? Because he'll make that move in the zone and then lose a puck easily.
Yeah.
So he's got to step it up too.
And maybe with guys like Lowry and Appleton, who are probably playing better defensively, it just gives Ehlers a little more, even more room to be creative and open on the offensive end. It might not be like a demotion 2-3, but play style, it might help out. Who knows? We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see with the ice time, because Ehlers right now is getting less ice time than Wheeler. But if you go with the hottest Jets at this point, it's Ehlers and Lowry, actually, because Lowry scored a couple goals in the last few games, and Appleton even scored last game or the game before. I can't remember what it was. Maybe the game before, because they only scored one. But so maybe it'll end up working out.
Yeah. Oh, come on, Scheifele and Wheeler. It's so hard being so negative on these guys. You want them to do well, but you're depending on them to be.
I want to see playoff hockey, man. I at least want to see playoff hockey. I know it may not go well. No, I do want to see them play playoff hockey right now and get into that mode. But I also want to see a first round of playoff hockey here. You know,
absolutely.
I know chances won't go well, but
we'll talk about next week in a bit. Just a small question: we've seen Jansen Harkins do really well in the AHL. Why isn't he up on the big squad?
Yeah,
for me, it's like no hate again against Menelainen, but I can rather see this guy who can stir the stick a bit and be an energy booster be on the ice.
Yeah, 20 goals, 21 assists with the Moose, and only 35 games. And he was drafted in the second round. So is this another indictment that, the drafting is not going well for the Jets lately? Because you draft a guy in the second round, you expect him to be at least in your top 9, not playing with your AHL team at this point, But with those point totals, you think, he's got to be better in the NHL than Menelainen right now. Yeah. And I know Stenlund plays center, whereas Harkins doesn't. But even like over Stenlund, I would take him. And that questions me too. David Gustafsson, another second rounder, he's not playing.
Yeah.
So what's going on?
Yeah, well, it's got to be more than a numbers game and ratio game and games played and all that. It's got to be more than that, because they really should be on.
Yeah, unless it's effort with Harkins, I don't know, because he was he was high praised in the last few seasons, right? He was up there, and it's like, hey, he's top 9 for sure, kind of thing. And then and to me, more so this season, he just dropped out. It's just like he was here, and then all of a sudden, training camp happened, and he's gone.
I don't think it's effort.
What happened?
Yeah, I think maybe Bonus went with the experienced guys at the beginning, but I don't know.
I would even take Toninato right now. He's actually having a decent season with the Moose too.
He is. He's having a really good season. Man, maybe go for these Moose playoff games. Never mind.
Yeah.
Let's look at this upcoming week. Last week talked about the Jets and games they had to win, and it kind of, for me, it bled into this week. I was like, they got to win 4 games, and they have 2 of these winnable games with the Sharks tonight and the Red Wings coming up. The Devils, I'm not even going to mess with the Devils, but I'm just saying they got to win these 2 games, and I think they can, but they have to.
Yeah, I mean, the Sharks, that's starting soon here. It's 1-6-3 in their last 10. And Detroit are 3-7. I mean, actually, Detroit won tonight against Pittsburgh, so whatever, 4-6 maybe now, or maybe they're still 3-7. But
what's going on tonight? Did they beat Pittsburgh, and who beat Boston?
Nashville beat Boston.
Of course they did. Of course they did.
What are the chances of that? You're thinking, okay, you're looking at Nashville's schedule, and it's tough, and they find a way to win, and it's probably a lot of it is UC Saros, right? Stealing games for them, but you're thinking, okay, this is their just chance here, but no, Nashville's not losing.
Sellers, and then now they're making a push. So I'm hoping they take these 2 games, and I'd be willing to fine if they lose against the Devils, but they got to take these 2.
Hey, you know what? Right now, the Devils aren't playing great hockey either. They're only 4-4-2 in their last 10, and they're on a back-to-back. Same with Detroit. Detroit's on a back-to-back against the Jets. So the Jets got a break here in the schedule with 2 teams playing a second of a back-to-back. Detroit's traveling from Detroit to Winnipeg.
Yeah.
And then New Jersey's traveling from Chicago to Winnipeg. So those are your chances there to steal those games for sure. I mean, San Jose, Detroit. I'd like
to see them beat the Devils for sure. I'd like to see them beat the Devils.
Yes.
But they got to take these 2 guys.
Yes. You got to win tonight, especially with Nashville winning and Calgary beating the Kings right now.
Yeah.
So you got to beat that. You got to beat San Jose. You got to beat Detroit. No questions. And if you want to make this statement, you got to also beat New Jersey. The season's in their hands, right? They win enough games, they're in.
They do have still a little control.
Yes, they have control, and they play Calgary at some point as well. So they have control of it. They have to take control of it.
Come on, Jets. Go, Jets, go. Let's go. They just started tonight. Let's beat the Sharks on the way to the playoffs. Come on. Let's move on to hot topics. Lamar Jackson, trade or some kind of move in this craziness going on right now, just talked about today or released a tweet about him asking for a trade on like March 2nd or something like that. So where would be the best place for him to land? I know we asked the folks on the social media. You have that poll, by the way?
Yes.
I love it when we ask the people.
Yeah, it ended up being, and I'm not surprised really by the top choice, but it ended up being the Atlanta Falcons as the top choice with 35%.
Yeah.
On this, with the Detroit Lions being second. So, to me, those are, besides maybe sticking with the Ravens.
Yeah.
Where I think that might be his benefit right now is sticking in at that team and maybe figuring out a deal somehow of not getting franchise tag at some point and signing maybe a 2-year deal with Baltimore or something like that. But to me, the Atlanta Falcons, but the Falcons would be a good option. But the Falcons came out today and said Desmond Ridder is going to be the starter. But
no one wants him.
Teams play these games, right? And they're not going to, say, hey, we're pursuing Jackson while they got another guy sitting there, right?
Yeah.
It's,
so Atlanta would be great. I'd love to see him play in Atlanta. I don't know.
Detroit to me would be interesting because I know Jared Goff had a very good season last year, but if you threw Lamar in there with that defense now with the moves they've made, and how wide open the NFC is and the NFC North is, I think Detroit would be a pretty exciting option.
Let me be clear again with this polls on Twitter. They only give us 4 options. And hey, we take write-in votes. Those are equally weighted. So I do agree with someone who said the Colts. Absolutely, that'd be a great. They have Jonathan Taylor. Imagine that option possibility in the backfield. And they have a couple good receivers there. Pittman, they have. Who else do they have again?
Yeah, Pittman's probably it. They have.
They had another young receiver there.
The rookie from last year.
Yes. Shoot, can't remember his name.
Yeah,
it doesn't matter. The Colts would be a good place for him to go, and they have a decent O-line.
Yeah, but Irsay came out and said he's not paying a guaranteed contract. So if they can get him for something else or not guaranteed, then I can see that move happening.
Number one, this franchise tag thing is stupid. They got to get rid of that. The NFLPA, whoever said, hey, let's sign that, that is one of the dumbest things ever. It's really restricting what a player can earn and where a player can go. This franchise tag is dumb. And in a short career where you can get injured in one play, to put it on 1 year, that's a stupid status. Get rid of that.
I do like having something, though, that keeps the player to your team somehow, like the NHL does
RFA.
RFA for a while. But the franchise tag after that RFA is done, it's like it is limiting. It probably should not be there.
Absolutely. And I had another point about Lamar Jackson, but I forgot. So let's move on. Next hot topic. That was too long for a hot topic. Where should Ezekiel Elliot go? I think he just stay with the Cowboys. They put it on the table that he can stay. Might as well go there. Be a secondary back with Pollard. It works well. Pollard's probably going to get injured. Stay with Dallas.
Yeah, he's a good punch it in, from the 1 yard line kind of back. But if he goes anywhere else, I'd like to see somewhere in the NFC East because I'd love to see him play Dallas twice and see what the fans would do and react to that.
Oh, he's done already. Look at the mileage on him. I don't think he'd be a factor at all. I don't know why the Eagles don't want him.
Yeah, he's not as good as the main guy anymore, but he can definitely be a secondary option.
Didn't the Eagles say they don't want him already?
They already came out and said yeah.
So where's he gonna go? Giants?
Yeah, he would be Barkley. No, maybe Commanders.
Oh boy. Lamar Jackson.
Once it gets old,
Commanders, that'd be dope too. Let's move on. Next hot topic. Robert Saleh, quote, to have a guy like him, Aaron Rodgers, want to play for us is pretty cool and shows how far we've come, but we still have a long way to go and a lot of work to do. Thoughts on that quote?
I agree with him. They still got a long way to go. And is he wanting to go to the Jets because it's the Jets, or is because his only option, or Nathaniel Hackett's there and he knows that offense and he doesn't want to learn new offense? So Saleh, you still got some work to do for guys that want to go there and it's winning product. I don't know if Rodgers is going there for the right reasons or not.
Yeah, don't be like, oh, we're far away. This is still, you're only a few steps away from being a 1-15 team. Give me a break, as if you've broken some kind of barrier because Aaron Rodgers wants to be there. Please. Your guy, Lynch, the GM for the 49ers, endorses Purdy as a 49ers starter. Too soon?
Nah, I mean, the way he finished out the season and played, you almost have to endorse him at this point. But maybe it's to light a little bit of a fire under Trey Lance's butt and come into the OTAs, because he's going to be, well, it's him and Sam Darnold, but you got OTAs and you got training camp to prove that the Niners did not waste 3 first-rounders on you. So maybe it's to light his butt, but right now I have nothing against John Lynch or even Kyle Shanahan, Zing Brock's guy. So.
It's way too soon. It's way too soon. This Lance kid has been through a lot already. He's coming off an injury, to put more doubt in his mind that this Purdy guy's a starter is not fair, especially when you give up all that draft retail for him to put him in like being, oh yeah, you're secondary coming into it. I don't think that's fair to him at all.
Imagine if they kept those 3 first-rounders.
Too bad. Stahl Brothers move recent. They're the most recent players to not wear the rainbow. Thoughts on that?
Oh my God. These guys are getting more and more ridiculous with the Christianity excuse. I mean, Eric Stahl wore a pride jersey when he was with Montreal.
Absolutely.
Which he had denied, but it's also on video.
Yep.
So, I mean, what you're doing in the past and why are you changing it now? So that's enough with this. And like people are saying, it's not, you're just including people of different nature everywhere, right? You're just including everybody to play the game or to be open in the game and feel themselves in the game. That's all it's doing. So
just more clown shows in this clown show called the toxic hockey culture. Religion, my ass. Give me a break. And then we got the Chicago Blackhawks not doing it at all because they're worried about the Russian players' safety.
Since when?
Sit then. Yeah, exactly. Chicago, the beacon of morality in the NHL. Get the fuck out of here, Chicago, you joke of organization. Give me a break.
These excuses are getting more and more ridiculous.
I know. I know. NHL won't do nothing about it. Surprise.
Nope.
Toxic hockey culture returns again. Brickhead, you got one?
Yeah.
Just talking about Chicago right there. They could easily be winners, but what's yours?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of options so far this week, but I'm going to give it to Blake Lizotte for his cross-check on Josh Morrissey's face.
Oh, what?
I mean, what are you doing? That. You know, Josh Morrissey's
we forgot to talk about that. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, I mean, whatever happened on a play, I don't even know why Blake Lizotte was going after Morrissey, but Morrissey was ready. He was ready to fight. He dropped his gloves. And then there's a cross-check to the face, and you end up getting a 1-game suspension.
Yeah.
I know you got a 5 in a game, but a 1-game suspension for cross-check to the face, which could have caused a lot of damage. 18 stitches it did. Concussion, anything like that. And
he's being a clown.
Yeah, and I give it to the NHL too for that 1-game suspension. Like that's clownish. That's
like what happened was Lizotte gave the guy a hook. Morrissey gave him a little tap on the skates to let's go. Drop the gloves. The guy cross-checked him in the face. Like time and time again, this player safety, whatever, is proven to be garbage.
Yeah,
we have guys going on their social media saying, "Look at my face. Look at the state of my face." Like, who cares if this is his first ever, violation? Who cares if he has a clean record? Set a precedent that, hey, you're not allowed to cross-check someone in the face or you're out for 5 games. I don't care what your previous history is.
Yeah. Headshots, anything like that should be taken seriously. And the NHL wants to continue saying, hey, we're going to take this seriously. But and I even said it last week, we talked about is fighting have a place in the game still. And I said it doesn't necessarily have it. But in cases like this, it does.
Someone should beat his ass.
Yeah.
Because the NHL should have got his hands on him.
The NHL did not step up and take care of this situation. Yeah. So now you leave it in the player's hand for next game. Someone to take Lizotte.
Yeah,
and
they will.
And it drives me and it drives me crazy that players are even still doing this. Anything to the head. Yeah. Oh, terrible.
Clown show. Because no precedent is set.
Yeah. But they just had a guy last week, I think it was Boston guy, that got suspended for 1 game for the same kind of thing to the head. And it's just like, come on, man.
It's a joke. Player safety is a joke in that league.
No.
Shout out. I'm going to give a shout out to Dallas Sims, who has committed to play receiver with the Minnesota Golden Gophers. Former Eastside Eagle and Dakota Lancer was ranked top Canadian receiver. Best of luck at the University of Minnesota, Dallas Sims. Winnipeg, all the best.
Yeah, for sure. I'm going to give one out to Willie Jefferson and Brady Oliveira of the Bombers. Willie Jefferson was I love this award name, is the Ed Kodowich Good Guy Award.
Good guy.
For football ability, leadership, and effort in the community. So right on. Shout out to Willie for that. And running back of Brady Oliveira for winning the Cal Murphy Heart of Legend Award, which recognizes sportsmanship and dedication to the CFL and the community. So right on. Shout out to both of those guys for showing up in the community.
I love how you are Italian through and through. Brady Oliveira. Brady Oliveira. Oliveira. Shout out to Brady Oliveira and Willie Jefferson. Benny, you got anything to say to our friends?
That's awesome. Thanks a lot for listening. Don't forget, subscribe, follow, leave us a rating on your favorite podcast proprietor. Have a good week.
And in the famous words of Ed Whalen, I'm going to steal him. In the meantime, and in between time, that's it. Another edition of Ray and Benny Talk Sports. Hey, friends and neighbors, don't forget to check us out online on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter at Ray Benny Sports. And don't forget to check out our YouTube channel. Leave a like, leave a comment, tell us what you think.